Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to MYC Uncensored. This is Satini, and I'm joined by.
Sophia again. Hi.
How are you, Sophia?
I'm good. Thank you. How are
That's
you?
good. I'm good, thank you. We just finished recording another podcast, which was really fun.
It was so much fun. We
Mhm.
spoke about how to tell your parents you're going on a date,
Yeah.
and it was my first podcast, and it was a great time. So go listen to that before listening to this one,
Mm-hmm.
because this is kind of a segue into relationships.
Yes, and a lot of you young girls out there have been submitting questions about boys and relationships. So
Yes.
buckle up.
Yes, it's going to be a very interesting journey.
Yes. So, once again, thank you to the young person for submitting in this question. It's quite interesting.
Yes.
So, yeah, the question is, how do I tell my boyfriend I am not interested?
Yes. So I don't know about you, but when I read this question, I feel like it's a very broad question. It's an amazing question, but I feel like you can go down different avenues. So I was thinking we could break down the questions and hopefully answer what this person was meaning.
Mhm.
And if we're not referring to the right thing, then we're sorry. But also at the same time, it might inspire you for other topics to ask questions about,
Yeah.
and it might actually help you answer the question originally, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, should we break it down, the question, maybe?
Yes.
Okay, so when I read this question, I was like, okay, this is really interesting. And I took it two ways. The first way I took it is, are you not interested in being in a relationship anymore?
Mm-hmm.
So, my theory was, if you're not interested in a relationship, why is that? So, like, could you think of some of the reasons why you think this person wouldn't want to be in a relationship?
So either maybe they got busy, you know, schedules. If you're a young person, you're still at school, so, you know, sometimes your schoolwork can take up a lot of your time. What else? Two, maybe you actually weren't allowed to date.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's like one of those, you know, you just had to.
Keep it
So-
hush hush.
And you know, maybe your parents found out, so you had to break it off. Potentially, that's on a completely different perspective, I guess. Damn, another one. Maybe you're seeing someone else, or
Ooh, okay.
potentially there could be someone else, which is intense.
Yeah, definitely. I also think as well it could just be because like the relationship is a bit lacking now. Like as in maybe your partner isn't putting as much effort in and the vibes have kind of gone down for whatever reason it might be.
A lot of fights.
Yeah, and like it's not as enjoyable, which I think is quite normal in relationships. They do change and they go through their ups and downs.
For sure.
But I think like realizing why you're not interested in the relationship is, I think, key, because there's so many different reasons as to why someone might not want to be in a relationship anymore.
Yeah.
And before you address it with your partner, I think it's important to like reflect on it with yourself and why you might not be happy in that relationship. Because the thing is, it's like, how much would you tell your partner? Because if you wanted to fix it, would you fix it?
Yeah.
Did you just want to completely break it off and like not talk? Like it kind of really varies on how you feel as an individual of how you wanted to explain that you're not interested anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
I think it's important to kind of understand that. Like you need to realize that the way you say it is important. So like, for example,
Yes.
like if you're not interested in a partner anymore because you want to work on yourself, I feel like a segue could be, I'm finding, you know, school overwhelming and I really want to focus on like my fitness journey, or I really want to just focus on myself. And at the moment I feel like I can't be in a relationship because I want to prioritize me and I'm young, or you might not even have to be that young, but you know, you just want to continue that journey as an individual. I think that might be a good segue into having that open conversation with him, because, or with her, or whoever they might be. And I think doing it that way can open up a conversation and might actually be positive for you both, because it can maybe end things on a cleaner slate and not have that awkward drama.
Like maybe even he was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, or she, or whoever they identify as. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, like I think, you know, it's important to understand their perspective too, because they might be feeling the exact same way. And I think having that open conversation is so important.
Yes, communication.
Yeah, communication is key.
Thing, yeah.
100%.
Major key.
And like, I guess as well, like as we're talking about this like way of answering the question, it's like whatever the reason why you're not interested in your partner anymore, I think your feelings and your emotions are valid.
Oh, for sure.
It's so normal to lose feelings for people, or it might not even be that, but like your feelings, you're allowed to feel this way. And I guess my point is, don't feel guilty for wanting to end things, because at the end of the day, like your feelings are valid and are just as much as right as your partner's. And you guys are 50-50, and so your feelings are just as much as valid as your partner's. So,
definitely. Yeah. And I think it's also important to mention that if the other person feels upset or angry or something, don't feel that you're responsible for their feelings.
100%.
Because, and that might come into, you know, feeling guilty and like, just being, what is it called? Guilt tripped.
Yeah.
Or
pressured.
Yeah, your opinions, I mean, your values, like all your feelings are valid. And then, that's important, I think.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to not end it with them if they feel upset about it. Because you have no control over their emotions. That's them, you know.
Yeah, and I know it's cheesy to say, but you can only control how you act, and you shouldn't settle for less. And if your relationships aren't being met, or you shouldn't have to settle because you want to protect their feelings, because your feelings and your happiness is more important than your partner's at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think is important. And like just understanding that is really good. And if you can understand that at your age, you're going to go so far in relationships, because it gets more complicated as you get older, unfortunately. But in saying that, if you learn these skills now, then you can bring that into your next relationship, or you might not want to be in a relationship for a really long time, and that's fine too. But either way, you'll learn skills that you can apply in the future, and you'll be like, I'm so proud of my younger self because I stood out for me and I'm still doing it 20 years later. And so learning those skills is so important at a young age. So that was kind of like the first segue. Should we move into the second segue?
We're going to take a 360 on this.
Big 360. It's a little bit taboo, but as we said before on the podcast in our last episode, or when it was posted, nothing's off topic. So when I read this question, my first thought, and I was like, oh, okay, is that maybe you're not interested in sexual activities. And the reason why I say it's a taboo subject is because, you know, we shouldn't talk about sex. Well, we are going to, and it's okay to talk about it. So when I read it, I was like, if it is related to that you're not interested in sexual activities, it doesn't have to just be your normal penetration. It can be other things. But I think like, I think talking to your partner about it is important. I think communicating that you might not be ready for those things.
For sure.
So I guess like what would be a segue into talking about with your partner that you're not interested in that kind of area of the relationship?
Damn, that's tough.
It's hard, hey?
Because
I put you on the spot there, didn't I? Sorry.
That's a good question. I mean, depending on how long your relationship has been for and how you guys can communicate, I think just bringing it up, if you can, just straight up, you know, saying, are you ready to, you know, take this next step or something? I think that's, I don't know.
Yeah, see, I feel like you don't necessarily have to wait for to be in that setting. So I know some girls might feel, oh, maybe I should just wait, and if something leads to other things, I'll be like, no.
Yeah.
I think having a conversation even before you're like doing other things is important. I think that can like just kind of ripping off the band-aid, I guess, and just, you know, you see movies, you see shows, so you are kind of reminded by those things through your everyday life. And I think maybe a segue could be, oh, I was watching a show or something and they were, I don't know, kissing. It can be so simple. It doesn't even have to be like anything crazy. And be like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for that step yet. I just thought I would share that, because that gives you a segue into it without actually needing to put yourself in that position physically, if that makes sense. And so that way it kind of creates those boundaries of getting to that stage before, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And so maybe, having that segue of, hey, like I was watching something and I was just like, I don't think I'm ready for that. And, you know, if your partner is understanding and like respect your kind of views, they might be like, oh, thank you for telling me. I'm aware and I will not do those things, and we can discuss it later on when the time's right. And the thing is, like, you might not know when the time's right and it might change, and that's fine, I think. But for the time being, when it's present day, when you know you're not interested, having that conversation is important. And those perspectives may change in the future, and you can have another conversation with them when it does change, and it might not for a while, and that is totally fine. I don't think there's any right or wrong way of kind of like approaching it, I guess. So I think it's like very hard to navigate.
I'm sure there's like many ways that you can bring it up or discuss it that we haven't mentioned or probably won't be able to mention. But because it is difficult, right? Some people, I think if they're, how should I say, some religious, like if they're of the same religion, sometimes they'll discuss and be like, oh, you know, like our religion, we should probably wait until marriage and all that stuff. So I think that's when those conversations are kind of more, how should I say?
Like, do you mean like encouraged to be spoken about, because we, like, people in religious culture are encouraged to kind of talk about it, because that, you know, when you are part of that type of religion, it's like you learn to wait to marriage. So then when you get in a relationship, like, you guys have that conversation of, are we actually going to wait to marriage? Because you know, you can be part of the church and may not necessarily follow those things. I'm not saying you will or won't, but having that conversation with your partner might be a good segue, because you guys are from the same religion or even the same culture. So that's another factor of how to kind of segue into those conversations. And I think as well, the pressure that society puts on these activities is so important. And I really one day want to do a whole podcast on it, because honestly, like, pressure, especially for like us women, you know, you feel like there's these expectations and the stigma. And I think understanding that you're allowed to feel the way you feel, and if you're not interested, that does not mean that you're not a regular woman, or
you're not weird or anything like
it doesn't
that.
make you less of a woman not doing those things. And I think it makes you more of a woman because you're mature and you're respecting yourself. And I'm not saying if you do those things you're not respecting yourself, but you're aware of your own values and morals before getting to that stage. I think is so empowering, because like, we get taught to not really have these conversations about like special romantic, like intimate things. But I think it's important to have these conversations, because talking about these things shouldn't be so taboo in this society. Like, and you know, when you are in a relationship, you know, these things will come about naturally, whether you like it or not. It kind of does come about in the sense of, you know, like, it can be simple as just holding each other's hand. Like, it doesn't have to be this crazy big thing, but each stages come as relationships grow and develop. So it's about how you navigate that and how you want to navigate that, whether it's from a religious point of view, whether it's from, I guess maybe a society point of view,
Mm-hmm.
it can vary for many different people. And so understanding those perspectives is so important, I reckon.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think there's any right and wrong, you know?
No. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, sorry. And like on the same page as that, consent
Yes.
is very
Oh my gosh.
important.
Yes.
Very, very, very important. So if you don't give consent, make that clear.
Yes.
As you said, you never have to do anything you don't want to do, ever.
100%. And it is well and truly okay to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't make you any less of a person. It doesn't make you any less of a human. And, you know, also, if they don't respect that, it's important to tell an adult too. Because whoever your partner may be, like, they should always respect the word no. And if they don't, please reach out to someone, whether it's a guardian, a friend. I think it's so important. You don't have to keep quiet about it. There's nothing to be ashamed about, because, you know, you deserve to get the help and support you need if you need it. And I guess going on to the consent part as well, you know, with a relationship, you would hope that they respect you as a person,
for sure.
physically and emotionally, because these things isn't just about the physical part. It does take emotional part in it. So
For sure.
them understanding that is so important.
No, definitely. As you said, respect.
Yeah.
They should respect your boundaries. You respect their boundaries.
Exactly.
Yeah. Trust and respect, so important.
It is really, really important. So should we maybe summarize about everything we said?
Yes.
So do you want to summarize, or would you like me to kind of go?
You can start and I'll add on.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so we took it 2 ways, this question. So if you want to end the relationship, communication is key. Reflecting on why you feel like you need to end the relationship, whether it's because of school pressure, maybe because you didn't tell your parents, maybe it's because you just want to work on you. Whatever the reason is, communication is key. Now, going into the second segue, what we're talking about, the whole expectations about like pressure from your partner to do sexual activities, I think it always relates back to communication.
Yeah.
Despite the situation, communication is key. Whether it's regarding those 2 topics, communicating with your partner is so important. And if they don't listen, communicating to others is also important to get the support and help you need, and even just advice, because it's hard to navigate relationships, and that's okay if you need some assistance in that.
No, you've wrapped up everything that I was going to say. Yeah, like, relationships are about trust, communication, respect, and you never know, like, if you break up, I mean, this is kind of off top, kind of segueing in, but like, if it's about the second thing, if he doesn't want to be in a relationship anymore, then okay.
Yeah.
You know, maybe at the end of the day, like, during that time, it'll be hard, you know, because you loved him or whatever. But at the end of the day, it might have been, like, the best thing to happen.
And at least you know now as well, I feel like. And at least, you know, didn't lead into those things, and, you know, you
end up regretting it or something.
Yeah, like regretting it, but also maybe, like, the relationship changing because of it. So I think everything happens for a reason, and having this conversation also maybe, like, not at the beginning of the relationship, but like not being scared to talk about it is also so important. I feel like, because that can help you be on the same page with each other and know kind of the boundaries and expectations, and I guess the viewpoints. 100%.
No, for sure.
Yes,
that's everything that I was thinking. But yeah, thank you for the interesting topic, whoever you are. I mean, hopefully your question was answered, whether it's the first one or the second one. If not, if there was a specific type of way that you were going, then just let us know and we can always answer that one. But yeah, no, we'd love to also hear your guys' inputs. Like, what are your thoughts on what that young person should do? Or have you been in this situation by yourself? Remember that everything is anonymous anyway. So if you share with us, then, no names or address or anything. Yeah.
100%. And relationships are just weird in itself. And I think breaking down these questions is going to be really cool to see the journey that you guys go on, and us as a community together break down those topics.
For sure. But yeah, that's all we have for today.
Yes.
Thank you again, Sophia, for being on the episode. As always, everything is listed in the description, so you can follow our social medias, or as I said, send us a question or a topic to the link in the description. So yeah, we'll see you guys on another episode. Bye.
Bye.